Hello, everybody. Again, me and probably in the near future, interviewing myself as a speaker as well. But now we are continuing with the interviews with the speakers to get to know them. Well, this one does not need any introduction. You've seen him before, but let's see what he has to do. He has to discuss on the new conference coming on November on Ilkley. So if you don't have your tickets, make sure to get them on our website. We have a dinner gala as well, and we hope to see you all there in the UK. He's coming from very, very far from the other part of the planet. So hello, Christian, and thank you for being here today.
Hi, Amaya. Well, thank you for being here again with the Rfvs. Yeah, I will travel to England on November, so I am so happy to talk with you about the science that I really love, that is microbiome. And the thing that I'm going to give the talk, it's about the difference between puppies when they born by
C-section.
Yeah, for C-section and in a natural way in home with the tutors, with the parents.
Oh,
so
okay.
What's the difference, or what we have learned in humans, for example, and there are big difference between babies that born via C-section and born via by the vagina, natural
The
way.
canal, yeah.
Yeah. And why it's so, what's the difference between the microbiome in humans? Because not many people know that in the first trimester of pregnancy, there is a shift in the microbiome, and the last month, in the 8th month of pregnancy, there is another shift in the microbiome, and that is the reason why pregnant women gain more weight, because there is there's a big change in the microbiome, because in human history, there was not always food on the table. So the microbiome needs to make a change to be more efficient in energy. But now we have food every day. All kind of food we have on the table. So the microbiome throw a lot of sugar to the blood, and maybe that's the little reason why we have women have some diabetes in
the pregnancies,
pregnancy
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and what about puppies? So there is a big difference between C-section and vaginally delivery, because for the bacteria. So if we extrapolate that data from dogs, let's, for example, in English bulldog, bulldog English, or Frenchies, the Frenchies, they born via C-section.
C-section, yeah.
Puppies have already antibiotics before the bacteria get into the intestine, just like babies, human babies. So it's it's a terrible thing to start with this companion of with the bacteria. So if we if we extrapolate that information, so we have a Frenchie, a French bulldog. So, and the puppy is born via C-section. So what happened next? So the doctor take out the puppies, they wash them, and then they put it on the beach. Just like us. So
yes,
they watch the baby. Some people watch the baby and then put it on the mother. And there is no bacteria. There is no contact with the bacteria. So what happened when they born in a natural way? So what does the beach do? lick the dog, you know.
Mhm.
So she is trespassing her bacteria to the puppies for the newborn. So we already have a very first contact with bacteria, and this contact with the very first bacteria influence in the growth in the puppies. So when puppies go born via C-section are smaller than the counterpart.
Oh, okay.
The
There, yeah.
counterpart. And this is why the reason bacteria. So bacteria or microbiome is in charge in how food is absorbed or the energy is stored in your body, because the 10% of the whole energy that we need is created by the microbiome. So if we don't have the right bacteria, a lot of energy will not be used by the microbiome, but will be used by us. And this is one of the reasons why we are so obese, because we don't have the right bacteria to metabolize that energy, and we are using all that energy in a wrong way, because one part of the microbiome and the energy that the microbiome does or create is for our organs, especially our brain or our liver. And if we don't have these bacteria, and dogs don't have the kind of bacteria, obviously our brain or our liver will not have the enough energy to work well. So that's one of the reasons of the why so many people and many dogs have some liver diseases.
That's true.
There's a lot
Wow.
of information. It's a lot, and it's very interesting because even dogs and we are mammals, and the microbiome works in a very similar way. So and even we are sharing bacteria with dogs. For example, Akkermansia mucinifila, it's a very important bacteria for us, and scientists found that the dogs have that bacteria. So
Wow.
Another important thing is that we work very similar as a mammal, as mammals, you know, with the microbiome, and babies that are born via C-section, and dogs that are born via C-section have a very similar kind of growing, you know, because they don't have the very same bacteria from the mother, because, you know, in humans we have a splash from the vagina, you know, and there's go a lot of bacteria, and this bacteria contaminates or populate the skin of the mother. So when the baby comes up, the bacteria from the skin of the mother, lactobacilli and other ones, goes to the very skin of the baby. So we have a good population of bacteria. But when they're born via C-section, there is another kind of bacteria, and especially Streptococcus or even Staphylococcus aureus, that it's not a good start, you know, for a newborn. And it's very similar that what happens with dogs. And that's the comparative that I am going to speak in this Congress.
Okay, so now you have increased my interest on your talk. I'm really keen to listen to all that. But so you're gonna talk about the pregnancy bacteria and all the so the environment, the nutrition that it's involved in it, and then the comparison when the puppy's born, right? So until they're weaned.
Exactly, and it's very interesting because in humans we knew that the womb was sterile, and it's not.
Oh.
So babies inside the womb already have bacteria. And interesting, in dogs, some wombs of the bitches are sterile and another not. So why is that the difference? There is a lot of factors that affect the microbiome. Even what we do know now from the microbiome, because the womb is not sterile, just like the way we think before. But And in dogs, it's the same. It's the same situation. So I believe there is no sterile place in our body. We used to think that milk, the milk of the mother was sterile, and it's not. So we used to think that our urine was sterile, and it's not. We call it now a urobiome. So we have a urobiome. Our pee pee, it's not sterile as we think before. So that's why I believe there is no sterile place in our body, or there is no sterile place in Earth. So there's always bacteria, and these bacteria are responsible of the growth of how are we growing up, and how our babies are growing up, and what we are doing with the soil, what we are doing with the body, what we are doing with the food. That because everything interact with this bacteria, and these bacteria are responsible of what we are, or and responsible of if we are healthy or we are sick.
Exactly, and so we need to learn how to live among the bacteria instead of trying to eliminate it all completely. And also,
and unfortunately, we are so happy to eliminate bacteria, and especially our little bacteria that is taking care of. We have this bacteria, Helicobacter pylori, since 100,000 years ago, and why now we are trying to eradicate that bacteria, and it's crazy because this bacteria, Helicobacter pylori, do a lot of things. For example, to regulate the response of the immune system. And every time we eradicate this bacteria, most people suffer of gastric reflux so constantly, because it's not both for the use of antibiotics or a lot of inhibitors of the pump acid, is because this bacteria is not there to regulate the immune system. So that's the thing that we need to know, the relevance of the importance of this bacteria, and take care of bacteria, and not trying to eradicate bacteria, because if they want, they can eradicate us without no spending money, because they are resistant to antibiotics. People are dying, for this bacteria resistance, and if they want, they can kill us whenever they want, whenever the time they want. Okay, they can.
They're actually
us.
very Pacific now that we think of everything.
and we artist them, and we artist them. We are annoying them since the beginning. We start using antibiotics like candy.
Oh yeah. So the thing is that we can say also that this is the bacteria is transmitted from generation to generation, right? So in a way, you get your mother bacteria, and even though you can use probiotics to at a certain point, you're always going to come back to your origins, right? To your bacteria.
Exactly, that is called the race of the 1,000 days, because the very first 3 years of life is the foundations of the microbiome, and that is the reason why the treatment with probiotics works very well in children, and it's not working well in adults, because there is a thing that is called low resistant colonization. So because the intestine in the newborn, it's empty. So it's free space for all bacteria, but after 3 years, the intestine is already full. So most of the probiotics than a growing man or an adult women take probiotics, most of them goes to the feces. So they don't colonize the intestine, because there is no space, there is no free space. And if we use antibiotics, okay, this bacteria will die, will disappear, but they will appear again, because there is a genetic footprint, fingerprint in the intestine. So that is the reason, if we use a very strong treatment with probiotics, the symptoms of an illness will go away. But if we stop if we stop using the treatment, the symptoms come in 2 2, 3, 4 days after finish the treatment, because like I said before, the probiotics don't colonize the intestine of an adult man.
Yeah. And so the solution, it's always on nutrition then. It's the only way to get real changes or long
Nutrition,
term.
yeah, always nutrition, and in more severe cases, for a couple of years doing a fecal matter transplant.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That sounds interesting. I hope not to get there. Anyway, well, you don't notice because it's a pill in the end, but anyway,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound good if you know.
But it's one of the best treatment that exists today. It works very well, and it's funny because there was some cases that people that receive this FMT, that fecal matter transplant, they become obese.
Oh,
Because they receive from other bacteria, and these bacteria are in charge of the how do you use your energy and your calories from the food. So these bacteria that came to a new place, oh, okay, what am I doing here? So, oh, more food. And people who received that were so thin, just like me, like a stick, and they received this fecal matter transplant, in a couple of weeks, they become obese. Only
it's
for the
amazing what they
bacteria.
can do.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
very
that's
interesting. So
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm really looking forward to hearing your talk, because I really like bugs as well. I don't have that such a big curiosity you have, or at least maybe I don't have the time, but I really like listening to your to all your microbiome stuff.
It will be interesting and funny. I will try to make it in a funny way to understand, because it's so hard to understand the relation between immunology and the bacteria. Most people think, oh, okay, nutrition, good bacteria, fiber, fruits, veggies, and that's it. I wish it was that
Yeah.
easy to understand how the microbiome works, but it's not. So we need to understand how the dendritic cells works, how macrophage works, and the relationship between the short chain fatty acids and what kind of bacteria, because one group of bacteria depends on other bacteria, and if this group of bacteria is disappearing, the other one will disappear too, because there is an interdependence of bacteria, and that the brain, our brain, detects that change in the microbiome, and that is called the es intestino cerebro, el brain
The
axis,
axis, yeah,
gut brain axis.
brain intestine axis.
Yeah, el gut brain axis. So and when the brain detects that, the immune system start to work, and that inflammation occurs in the colon. And the colon, when it's there is a inflammation in the colon, the bacteria start to change, and even the immune system start to attack, and the inflammation kills all the bacteria. And the strong bacteria are winning, this battle against the immune system. And what are the stronger bacteria in the colon? Unfortunately, maybe it's the gram-negative bacteria, just like Escherichia coli and other bacteria that create inflammation. So it's very interesting, like I said. So, but let's talk about only pregnancy and puppies.
Yeah. We could be here all day otherwise.
Yeah.
But it is very interesting, and we don't know too much about it. We know that it's an ecosystem, so it's a full ecosystem, but it's really hard to understand, to understand its complexity, right?
See, we don't even know what it's a normal microbiome yet. We don't know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are healthy and they have a different microbiome. So what's the meaning of a normal microbiome? It's hard to know that.
Yeah. Well, to wrap this up, just to know a little bit about your projects, what are you up to? And from the other south part, winter part of the
It's pretty cool here now, but I'm still working on my fourth course of microbiome, the last one, and I'm still working as a vet, working with nutrition and pets. Maybe if I have the time, I will write a book about microbiome for kind of como microbiome for beginners to understand this relationship between immune system, us, and bacteria.
Great. So thank you again for being here. And you know, guys, if you want to share, if you want to be with us and share that time with us on Ilkley on the 11th of November, make sure to get your tickets. And you know, you can also be sitting with the speakers. We only have few seats left for that, because you know, we cannot create such big tables for to sit with the speakers. But if you want to learn more, or you know, have the evening and spend the time with Christian or Connor or Brendan or myself or Gemma or Matthew, then that's your chance. Also, to remind you, we have the crowdfunding for research, which is £4 for 4 paws, and the other crowdfunding to be able to keep going to London Vet Show and all the events we can possibly go to. So make sure to get on our website and look everything up there. We have the crowdfundings and the tickets for the conference. Everything is on rfvs.info. Okay, so thank you very much and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. See you soon.